Good morning, everybody. Okay, I'd like to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of masters and the mercy of the grand predecessors, transmitters, temple masters, lecturers to give me this opportunity to give a lead a discussion on these topics. Okay, well, I think we left off just like a month ago. I think about a month ago or so. Transmitter Ray stopped. I think he finished number 39. I think, which is what are the results, effects after one received the heavenly Tao. All right. So let's start with 40 topic question. Well, topic 40. Okay. So this is basically the translated. This is from this book. I mean, I could translate a little bit different, but can the results or effects of receiving heavenly Tao be proven? Okay, effects, yeah. Result, yeah, whatever. Okay, or you can say basically, what is the proof, right? What is the proof of receiving heavenly Tao? You can say that. Okay, well, after receiving, Okay, all right. So all this Chinese, okay. I mean, you guys can read in the English. There's a translated, right? English version, right? I mean, it's okay. I mean, basically, okay. The proof is that there are usually two parts. You can say, yeah, two forms of evidence. Maybe that's a better way of saying two forms of evidence. Okay, one is we can invite their soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it, to come and give and communicate with us via not words. Usually, it's handwriting. Okay, so that's one. I'll explain a little bit later in detail. Then the second one is usually the person that received the Tao, received the blessing. when they pass away, right? When they pass away, their corpse are what you call supple or flexible, specifically their joints. So that means you could, bend their elbows, bend their knees, legs, etc., or bend their bodies for that matter. Okay, waist, whatever. All right, so they're flexible. In other words, they're flexible. They're not stiff, rigid, right? I mean, the derogatory term is, people call people corpses stiffs, right? Because they are, well, you heard the term rigor mortis, right? Rigor mortis. That's a medical examiner's term, right? Which means what? Rigor means rigid of the mortis, of the death. Okay, rigidity of death. That's Latin. Okay, it means when a person dies, or animals. Yeah, you're right. Or the animals. Yeah. Within a certain time period, there's a certain time period. That's how they can, if you guys watch, a lot of, crime scene, movies, they say, what's the TOD, time of death, right? They all want to know, right? Investigators have to know. Oh, when's we discover a dead body. Or when's the time of death, right? Everybody has to know. So usually the ME would say, oh, rigor hasn't set in yet, or this is already rigor, whatever. I mean, they also take body temperature too, liver temperature specifically. But then they can estimate. Okay, usually it's within 24 hours, right? Usually rigor starts setting in. I mean, obviously, it depends on conditions too. If it's in the Antarctic, of course rigor is gonna set in within an hour. Okay, so depends on the condition. But assuming average, typical, normal conditions, temperature-wise or climate-wise, rigor usually sits in around 24 hours. Usually within 24 hours. So if they found a corpse that's really stiff, they can tell, oh, this person's deceased more than 24 hours. You know what I'm saying? So that's the proof. Now that's universal. Okay, that's universal. You ask any doctor, any ME, etc. Rigor will happen to any human being, right? In this case, we're speaking about humans. Okay, but the interesting thing is that if you, receive the Tao, i.e., know the three treasures, right? remember the first treasure, right? That's the most important, right? Well, yeah. In this case, it's most important. Remember that door, right? That heavenly door, right? Okay. So when it's time to leave, i.e., we pass away, and if you go through that door, right, that heavenly portal, the first treasure, right, then your body will not go into rigor. Now, I mean, people say, I don't believe that. That's superstition. Now, it's true that after rigor, after, a body that goes into rigor after 24 hours, over time, you'll gradually become flexible. Because why? Decay. There's decay. Especially in warm climates. Now, if you're in Antarctica, yeah, you're gonna still be a popsicle, okay, for a long time because it's cold. It's cold out there, right? Or in the Arctic, okay, whatever, okay. Obviously, that's kind of obvious, right? Because there's no decay, right? Remember when we buy meat, when you used to buy a lot of steak and stuff, where do we chuck it in? We chuck into the freezer. So it stays stiff inside the freezer, so it won't decay, right? That the meat won't decay, right? If you take it out, defrost it, after a week or so, boom, starting what? Not decay, but it's gonna turn, right? All that, smell and all that stuff. Yeah, bacteria will get in because it's not cold enough. Bacteria will thrive. But anyway, so the point is, it's the same principle, same idea, right? So if you leave a corpse out in Antarctica, yeah, more than likely it's going to stay rigid for a long time. But in normal circumstances, i.e. like room temperature, yes, a body that's in rigor, after a couple days, it's going to start, getting soft again. No, it's true. Yeah, it becomes bloated too. Why? Because bacteria thrives in the blood. Because when we pass away, there's still fluid, right? And there's stomach contents and God knows what, right? Depends on what we ate, our last meal or whatever, right? Stomach contents, right? I mean, if you eat a lot of meat, guarantee, in the intestine, if it passed through in the intestine, it's going to ferment because it's still relatively warm inside, right? Inside the body, even though externally, okay, it's, you have no body heat because, your heart stopped pumping, right? Okay, so it's gonna ferment, and fermentation causes what? Gas, right? Anybody made, moonshine, right? You ferment, right? You ferment beer, right? You ferment wine, right? Etc. Okay, so it's gonna bloat, and guess what? It's gonna start rotting. So then that means your body will no longer be stiff. Get it? Okay, all right. But okay, so those are the generally two things. But now. Okay, let's go to. Okay, so those are the two general evidence, you can say, proof. Okay, so now, and there, you can have testimony of many Tao members whose, i.e., let's say their relatives or whoever passed away, right? They can tell you. I mean, they can say, hey, even it's been in the funeral home, right? Granted, in the funeral home, they put them in the freezer, but then when they take them out for viewing, wakes, etc., their bodies are flexible, and usually that's well past 24 hours, right? Okay. Now, granted, they've been embalmed or God knows what, right? Whatever, right? Okay. But anyway, but they will remain flexible for. I mean, as a matter of fact, they have, not just recent history, but even past history, ancient. You've probably heard of stories of monks, right? Of certain monks. Monks. I talk about monks, or even stories of patriarchs. I.e., the patriarchs. I don't go into detail, but like say Bodhidharma, those examples, those patriarchs. After they pass away, even though, let's say, they haven't been embalmed or put in a freezer or whatever, not only are their corpses flexible, but they don't have any smell either. I mean, the story goes, right? Like, example, Buddha. I mean, let's use Buddha as an example, because that's a well-known story. When he passed away, right, at Krishnagar, at around age 80, right? Okay. it's in a forest called salsa forest, salsa woods, salsa trees. Now, supposedly, I mean, this is what his disciples said. Okay, recorded. When he passed, when he went enter nirvana. Let's put it this way, or parinirvana. We should use that term. That's a term of respect. Okay, when Sakyamuni, right, entered parinirvana, okay, the story goes, right, that there was a fragrant smell emanated. That's one of the stories. And supposedly flowers fell from the sky or something like that. That's the story, okay? I mean, but even though they cremated his body, that's true, okay? And scattered distributed his relics, among I think 8, right? Eight monasteries. I forgot, something like that. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so the point is, if we cultivate very well, that's very important. Okay, if we cultivate very well. It has to be very, very well. Okay, we cultivate very high level. What I mean by very well means we cultivate very high level, very substantial level, like the level of maybe, I don't know, bodhisattvas or whatever. Guarantee, if we should pass away, our bodies not only will be supple or flexible for forever, really forever, but also it will not rot, decompose. Maybe that's a better term. Decompose. Understand? Okay, like the Buddha. Okay, I mean that's an example. Okay, yeah, six patriarch. Yeah, as a matter of fact, six patriarch in China, in Canton, in the monastery. What's the name of that monastery? I forgot the name of that monastery. In Canton province, in southern China.
Huamei.
Yeah, no. I don't think it's Huamei.
Huamei.
Is it Huamei? I don't think so. I don't remember. Anyway, if you look at the yeah, there's a picture. What happened was, the story also shows, in the last chapter of the Platform Sutra, they said when he passed away, there was a fragrance too, filled the monastery hall, right? There was a fragrance, and also, his body, did not remain rigid, but he was in the the lotus position. He's sitting supposedly in the lotus position. Then the monks, what happened? They preserved his body, right? Mummified. Yeah, that's his body. Yeah, by gold plating him. Did they gold plate? I think gold plated his body. They used, the gold leaves. They stuck gold leaves around his body to not to preserve it, but to respect. They want to honor, respect. So you can still go to that monastery in China today, and you'll see, quote unquote, that statue or that mummy. You can say it's a mummified form. All right, okay, and it doesn't smell. There's no smell. Very interesting. But because he's a patriarch already, so he cultivated. He's basically enlightened. He's Buddha. He's basically a Buddha. Okay, so if you cultivate that well, your body will not rot. Okay, for sure, will not decompose, no matter what. Even though it's very hot outside, humid, doesn't matter. Very interesting, huh? So it's very interesting. Okay, so that's kind of like, we know that's goes against the trend, right? Oh, it's not normal, quote unquote, right? It's not your typical scenario, right? Most people, when they pass away, especially after natural disaster, right? You have what? You can smell, right? You can smell the corpse. That's why we have cadaver dogs. That's how they search, right? Cadaver dogs, because they know the dogs are trained to smell decomposing flesh. Okay, that's how they find people. No, seriously. Yeah. Cadaver dogs, search and rescue, or whatever they call it, right? Search and rescue dogs. You know that, right? You've heard of that, right? Yeah, cadaver dogs. Yeah, they can smell rotting flesh, i.e., human flesh in this case. Okay, so all right. So it's kind of morbid, but that's the fact, right? Those are the facts. Okay, all right. So that's the second one. I want to go back to the first one. Visitation. We have the other evidence is visitation by usually our relatives, right? We have examples, right? Many examples in this temple already, right? We have visitation of like our Jinghua, Jinghua saint, right? Or saint, yes. Yeah. Oh, immortal. We call it immortal. Yeah, immortal. Yeah. Immortal. Also, Deng Ming, my grandmother. Okay, my maternal grandmother, and others. Others. I mean, other people have relatives where they're either grandparents or parents were able to, or like senior transmitted genes. Father, my grandfather in this case. Yeah, right. Father or mother, they were able to, come down and
That's not the.
oh,
You're talking about before.
yeah before not yeah in Taiwan. Yeah, I'm talking about here. Yeah, but I'm saying we have testimonials or evidence of either Dao members, they're either deceased, grandparents, parents, etc. were able to come and communicate with their living relatives, right? Via handwriting. Okay, and the stuff they talk about is very, it's very personal. It's very, only things that the family members would know. We strangers would not know. Okay, or outside the family would not know. Outside the immediate family would not. So those are all evidence that that well, I'm talking about. Okay, hold on. Those deceased spirits or whatever. Okay, who received the blessing, they would come down and communicate and say, hey, we're not in the underworld, we're not underworld suffering, whatever. We are in, the what we call Dharma Dhatu or whatever, we are in the, we are, in bliss, whatever. Okay, we're not suffering. They're not suffering, or that they don't have to reincarnate, right, etc. They would tell you those stories. Okay, so but now it's very hard. This evidence about handwriting, yeah, it is kind of hard for people who are especially non-believers or superstitious. It would be hard for them to accept. That's true. That's because most people say that's unusual. That's not ordinary. But in terms of the decomposing corpse, that's easier to accept, right?
We have Liu Zhu right here.
Yeah, six patriarch. Yeah.
I thought you said they put gold leaf.
Yeah, supposedly.
No, actually, no. Well,
Isn't
I
it
know,
gold?
I mean, his skin.
It's brown leaf.
No.
Oh no.
His skin, it becomes like
Oh
a
yeah,
leather-
yeah, leather. Yeah, becomes leather because it's dry.
Gold
It's
leaf
dry.
is supposed to be gold, no?
It's dry.
Yeah, I don't know. They
I thought they put gold.
Well, I don't know.
Didn't they
No,
put gold?
They
in?
didn't, no.
No, I thought the six. I thought.
It looks leathery.
Oh,
It's
okay.
leathery. It's his natural skin.
Natural.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
think-
dry when it's mummified. Yeah.
Why wasn't he cremated?
Why wasn't he?
Oh.
In China, I guess they don't.
Yeah, because in Chinese tradition, they don't do cremation as, even though it is part of the Buddhist tradition, that is true, but cremation is more in India, it's more an Indian tradition, part of the Hindu tradition. Tibetan, they don't do cremation either. You know what they do? They leave them out for the vultures to
Now
pick them
they
apart.
do cremation in
Maybe.
China.
No, in China. Well, no, but not just China. In the West, they do a lot of cremation. Is that true? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I mean, so usually I'm talking about, we're talking about ancient China now, right? This is talking about what, 600 AD, roughly 1300, 1400 years ago, 1400 years ago. That time, ancient China, cremation is still not a popular option. The more popular is just burial. Okay, it's only recently, maybe the last 100 years, cremation is I would say more popular, but it's more normal. I mean, more common. That's a better term. All right.
And in the Chinese belief, they feel if they have to be cremated after their death, it's like die another time. They would like to preserve their body, although it's already, there's no nature in there, no soul in there. Yeah, but because of the population in China, if everyone wants to be buried, there isn't so much land.
Right.
So it's like a mandatory policy that all people have to be
Cremated. Yeah. So what they do is they just bury their ashes. They can bury their ashes at the cemetery.
Yeah, right.
In the Catholic religion, it used to be forbidden. You cannot.
Right. It's taboo. Yes.
But now
Cremation,
it's more.
because they say that's desecration of the body, just like the Jewish tradition, Jewish and Muslims, Jewish and Islamic tradition, you cannot cremate the body. That's why they have to bury it. Also, they usually bury it within 24 hours or 48 hours, something like that. I forgot. Yes. And also, they cannot view.
Muslim, yeah, I'm Jewish.
They cannot view the body. There's no wake.
Vivian,
who is Jewish, and she was cremated.
No, but the traditional, the traditional Jewish. If you go to Israel, there's no cremation; it's all burial. You know that, right? In Israel, I mean, well, maybe you can cremate, but if you are a Orthodox Jew, whatever Jew, if you follow, if you're very traditional, you will not have cremation. You know that? And also no wake, right? No wake. They don't view the corpse. Yeah, they don't view. That's why there's no such chance. Whereas in Catholic, Eastern religions, you have wake, right? Catholic, Christian, even Christian, maybe some denominations don't. I think the 7-day app, I don't remember, one of those groups, but that doesn't matter. But the general, tradition is that, they have viewing, because they want to pay respect, right? That's the whole idea. Catholicism in general, Orthodox, Greek, Roman, Greek, Russian, Eastern Orthodox, they allow wakes, okay? Whereas Jewish, Islamic, they don't, okay? All right, they don't, okay? And also no cremation for them, all right? But cremation is mainly a Hindu. It came from the Hindu tradition. You know that, right? They do cremation, and then they scatter their ashes along the Ganges River, because they consider that a holy river, right? Okay, but anyway, that's the general tradition, okay? All right, okay, so let's hopefully we beat that question to death already, right? So those are the general two, you can say, evidence, all right? Okay, that that if we cultivate very well after receiving the Tao, you don't have to worry about cremation. Even if your body is left in a cave someplace or whatever, it will not decompose. That's very good to know, right? Okay, but it's just a body. Who cares, right? All right. So anyway, all right. So that's okay. Now let's go to the next question. Question 41. So they say basically, after receiving the Tao, after receiving the three treasures and Tao, should we become a vegetarian? Now, okay, we have to understand that's not a requirement, right? It's not a requirement, even though some groups do require one to eat vegetarian for like 3 days or several days or something like that to be eligible to receive the three treasures. You know that some groups do that. Some temples do that. Okay, we don't require it. Okay, it's not a requirement. All right. But now after receiving the three treasures, is that a requirement also? No, that's not a requirement either. It's not a hard requirement. What I would say is this. It's what I would tell the people that just received the three treasures or the Tao is that I would recommend, or we should encourage them to become a vegetarian over time. Okay, or that it should be a goal. Now it's difficult because it is you can say it's a lifestyle change, right? It is a lifestyle change, right? I mean, we've been brought up, to eat meat, throughout our lives. Now, let me step back. That's not to say there are some people who are already vegetarians. That's true. There are not a lot, but a few. There are a few, maybe 20%, 10%, 20%. Some people that receive the blessing, they're already vegetarian, so that's okay. So we don't need to stress that. But most likely, right, people that generally receive the blessing, the Tao, the three treasures, are not vegetarian, right? Now, that's not a requirement, but over time, after receiving what I would recommend to them is that, the goal eventually is that it's ideal. Remember, we say ideal, okay? That we should become a vegetarian, but not right away, right? Of course, because that's a lifestyle change. So do it gradually, right? We can do it gradually. So we could recommend that, okay, especially on the lunar calendar, lunar months, right? The 1st and the 15th, don't eat any meat during those two days, right? The first and the 15th. Try not to eat meat. Now we have to. When we say meat, let me define what we mean by vegetarian, right? First, we got to define what that means, right? Generally speaking, no meat, no poultry, right, of any kind, chicken, turkey, no seafood in general. That's what we need. Now, we could go even further if you want to be, much more complete, is that, we avoid those five, the five pungent vegetables. Hey, Johnny, that chart that you did, I was going to call it up. I don't know if they have it, Ty, if we have it here. You're not using mine. Yeah, shoot. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, it's garlic, scallion, onion, chives, and shallots. Yeah, leeks. Yeah, it's here.
Like they can see black and white.
Well, I have color.
All the same to me.
I have a color. Did I give you color? I have a color. Yeah, I have a color. Yeah, because I would recommend that, it's here.
Put it in a
Here.
plastic
Yeah. Okay. So you guys can take a look, right? Yes.
Green onion.
Yeah. It should be. Yeah, because
Well, there's green onion in the
yeah,
shallot.
no, because no green onion should be this.
Green
Yeah,
shallot.
that's shallot. Yeah.
It's the shallot is the huge
Now
green
leek, I think it's with the chives, right? With the chives.
onion. And leeks are chives.
Yeah, leeks. Yeah. Well, chives are smaller, are thinner, but leeks are bigger. But it's all
Are
flat.
in the same
Okay.
department.
But small ball, very small ball, very small ball.
Yeah, it comes out
And they're very
like-
thin
Yeah.
and long about this long.
So we would recommend that they also avoid those items, right? Recommend that they avoid those items, all right? Because and there are reasons for that. People say, oh, that's vegetable, that's not meat, right? Okay. Now that's a separate class, right? That just like last month Johnny talked about the vegetarian, right? Because the reason is because this is what Buddha said. Okay, this is Buddha. This is set down by Buddha. Okay, they call them the 5 pungent vegetables because they have certain, smell. They do.
But it started before.
Oh yeah. The Hindus, yeah, that's true. Jains is even worse. No, but Hindus, yeah. It's a Hindu tradition. That's true. That's true. But Buddha said these pungent vegetables, quote, right, have what we call bad. That's what they call pungent, right? Bad odor or bad. We call them qi, meaning bad, negative energy. Yeah, we can say energy. Yeah, because let's say he said if it's either raw, because you can eat these raw, right? You can eat some of these raw, right? Raw, like people like to sprinkle green onions on their soups or salads or etc. Right? Or eat garlic raw. I mean, kind of weird, but anyway. But onions, right? They have on hamburgers. They put onions, right? Onions on hamburgers, right? I mean, salads, yeah, etc. So he said, Buddha said, when eaten raw, like onions, garlic, or something, either they arouse your desires. Cooked. Sorry.
Anger.
Oh, anger. Sorry. Yeah. They raise your level of your bad temperament. Yeah. Right. So you could become easily, how can I say, irritated, agitated, whatever. Okay.
No
Raw.
patience.
Yeah. So that means you would have a quick temper, stuff like that. Okay. That's raw. When eating cooked, they arouse your desires, lust, all that stuff. So that's why Buddha forbade his disciples to eat these pungent vegetables, right? So because the whole goal under Buddha, right, under Buddha Sangha, right, is to achieve enlightenment. So therefore you want to get rid of your anger and desires, right, or lust, right? The 3 poisons, right? Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it could be any vegetable or only the 5?
No, just these 5. Just those 5.
Thank you.
It's called
can
5
substitute
pungent.
with other-
Yeah, you can eat basil or celery, cilantro. There's so many other herbs.
Right? Ginger, so garlic, you don't have to use the garlic. Ginger gives you even more flavor. And it's
All right. So that's the guideline. All right. So now that's what Buddha said. All right. Now in the Eastern tradition, Chinese tradition, the Taoism Tao, Lao Tzu's Taoism, they also have explanation. That's part of the you call TMC, traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM. Sorry, TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. Not folklore, but theory. You can say theory or practice. Is that they say these pungent vegetables have some bad energy or negative energy, bad energy. All right, that like these 5 pungent vegetables, according to this list, you can see on the list, they harm certain organs.
Major organs.
Yeah, organs like for example,
Heart.
Like
Garlic and
like leeks. Leeks will harm. Let's see, wood will harm earth. Spleen. Okay, leek will harm the spleen. Okay, all right. And let's see, shallots will harm. Let's see, earth will control the kidney. Make sense? Yeah, shallots will harm the kidney. Don't I have it here?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Onion is water. No, onion will harm heart. Heart. Yeah.
No. Okay. Garlic will harm the heart.
Yeah.
Leeks will harm the liver. Shallot will harm the spleen.
Yeah.
Tobacco will harm,
Okay,
will
whatever.
harm the lung.
Yeah.
Onion will harm the kidney.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have no
So.
idea.
Yeah. Okay. So something like that. All right. So that's according to the Taoism, and it's part of the I Ching. Comes from the I Ching. The hexagram. The hexagram, Book of Changes. Okay. So hexagram. It's that theory. The hexagram theory. Whatever. Okay. All right. So all right. So that's what they say. Okay. So now, the whole point of cultivation. Now I wanna
For the lung.
summarize is that
It's all kind
for now there are always exceptions, of course. Okay, to not being to being a vegetarian. Okay, now it's not an absolute requirement that as a cultivator of this Tao, right, that we become a vegetarian. That's not an absolute requirement, but it will help us tremendously if we become vegetarian. And that's already summarized or talked about in detail in Johnny's class that he talked about vegetarian, right? A couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, right? Just to summarize, basically being a vegetarian, why I would say that should be a goal of our cultivators is because the first and foremost, it will reduce, or not reduce, sorry, it will allow us not to create further bad karma. Get it? Because if we continue to eat meat, right, fish, meat, chicken, turkey, etc., we are killing, right, living animals, right, and we are therefore creating or planting the seeds of future bad karma. Get it? Because we're killing a living thing, a living organism, right, a living animal, to eat them. But by that action, we are creating and accumulating or planting the seed of future karma. And if we continue to have karma, even though we may receive the 3 treasures, yes, that's true, we do not have to reincarnate in our next lifetime. But if we still have that much karma, residual, leftover, right? Eventually, over time, we will still have to come back. Why? That's law of causality. That's a law of causality. Even Buddha cannot eliminate that karma. Get it? So that's a long term. That's a long term, right? Okay, goal. Because all of us has karma. None of us cannot claim that we have no karma. We have zero karma. That's absolute delusion. Even Buddhas have karma. You know that? Okay, even Buddha said, right? He got headaches and all that stuff, right? He had karma. I mean, granted, that's a mild form, but even Buddha had karma. And he cannot eliminate it. So that's a lesson for us to say, are we a Buddha yet? We're not even a Buddha yet. So if we still continue to create more karma, what do you think will happen in the future? We'll still have to come down. Get it? To resolve it, right? Because we owe debt. Now it's time to pay back. I mean, not now, but in the future. So that's why, to me, I would say that the highest level of cultivation is you have to become a vegetarian, because that will at least cut off the planting of any seeds of future karma. Get it? I mean, among other things. I mean, yeah, we're talking about vegetarian right now, right? Being a vegetarian. I mean, we also have to do good things. We shouldn't steal, kill, lie, all that stuff, of course. But that's a separate, right? That's not the question, right? Okay. But as far as our food wise, speaking, I would say that the highest level of cultivation is that we have to become a vegetarian. The highest level. I'm not saying, you could do the low level first. Yeah, that's fine. But understand, recognize and acknowledge and understand that if we continue to eat meat, we will be creating future karma. Okay? And that future karma will happen, maybe not the next lifetime, or next few lifetimes, or next 1,000 years, 10,000, mixed million, but definitely will come back. Get it? Okay, so understand that, all right? So that's why it is better to become a vegetarian. Okay? So all right? So that's the big reason. That's the, if you want to look for the, main reason, look far ahead, okay? Plan ahead. That's the big reason. And also, so that has to do with law, causality, karma, etc., future karma. But also, as a cultivator, right, we already understand, well, maybe not understood, but we should learn about compassion, right? About compassion, So, and compassion is not just for human beings. It's not just, doesn't just extend to humans, but also all living creatures, right? Okay, that's what Buddha taught us. Because why? Because all living animals, also have a Buddha nature, okay? They're sentient beings, in other words, okay? Okay, so as cultivators, after receiving the Tao, we should learn, right, about compassion, right? We should express it. We should apply it, right? So not just to humans, fellow humans, but also to animals, right? So that's a big part, all right? Okay, so hey, not most of us, a lot of us, right? Either when we're young or whatever, we've had pets, right? You say, oh, I love my pet dog, cat, whatever, bird, whatever, and yet we still continue to eat, chicken, fish, pork, beef, etc., etc. That to me is very, how can I say, inconsistent, right? Inconsistent. You love your pet animal, you treat them as part of the family, right? And yet you're killing animals to eat. To me, that's very inconsistent. So your compassion is very limited, in other words, right? We're limiting our compassion to a specific pet, right? Okay, just like say, oh, I love my family, but you ignore everybody else. You don't love anybody else. You don't love your neighbor, your friends, etc. That's inconsistent, right? So when we say compassion, the highest level of compassion, altruism, well, you can say altruism. Jesus, right? Jesus talked about loving your enemy, not just loving your neighbor or your relatives or your sons and daughters or your parents, but also your enemies. So that's being consistent, right? That's all encompassing, right? That's what the highest level of compassion would be, right? So that's why, to be consistent, I'm saying to be consistent, we also have to do that, right? So that's why compassion is another big point. Okay, but that's on a separate topic. But let's go. Okay, so that's to answer that question about, should we become a vegetarian after receiving the blessing? It's not a hard requirement, I would say, but I would encourage people that, set that as your goal. Maybe not, obviously not immediately, but gradually, because it is not easy. I agree, it's difficult, right? It's a lifestyle change, but understand the reasons for that. Okay, so that's why. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's go to the next question. 42 is, they say, 有罪吗? That means, is it a sin? Yeah, or sin, I guess. Yeah, 罪, means guilt, sin. Yeah, is it a sin if one does not practice the Tao or cultivate the Tao after receiving the heavenly Tao? Okay. See, it's not. We have to qualify. What do we mean by sin? Okay, we have to explain what it means. In ancient Greek, right? I mean, we know that, right? When the ancient, early Christians were trying to translate the Bible, which was written originally during first 200 years or so after Jesus, it was written in Aramaic, which was the native language of, the people in that area, in the Levant, whatever we want to call it, right? The Levant. Okay? And then they were translated into Greek first, then to Latin, then to English, right? The original Greek translation from the Aramaic for sin, you know what it means? You know what's the original translation? Oh, Jesus. You know what's the original translation? It means to miss the mark, to miss the target or miss the mark. So it's not some kind of, I don't want to say moral or I don't want to use the word moral, but it's some kind of, what's the term? Excuse me?
Ethical?
Yeah, no. It's Jesus. There's a term. Whatever. It's used in religion. Okay, it's a religious thing. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, the sin. When we say what we call a sin, means that we missed the mark. We didn't do it completely right. Okay, that's what I meant. Okay, that's what I meant. So don't think of because when we say sin's very heavy, right? It's a heavy term. It's a very severe term, right? It's a sin. It implies that there's some kind of God-given or law of nature or whatever, and we violate it, right? Right? That sounds very serious. It just means that if we do not practice, i.e., learn, right? Learn about the Tao, study about the Tao, talk about the Tao, practice and propagate, right? Those 5 things, right? If we do not do any of that, let's say we just received the 3 treasures because somebody told me that, hey, once I get the 3 treasures, I'm home free. I'm clear. Just like a lot of Christians says, hey, you accept Jesus as your savior, you're home free. Even though you were a thief, a murderer, a mass murderer, a robber, or whatever before, doesn't matter. As long as you accept Jesus, you're home free. Okay, we got to be very careful. That to me is a snake oil salesman. Okay, because that's misleading people. That's number one, misleading. That's why I think that's why it's off the mark. Okay, actually we should say it just allows you that opportunity to turn yourself around, and especially when we talk about the Tao, because now we gave you the 3 treasures. You can say the door, right? The way, but it doesn't mean that once you have that door or whatever, that open door or whatever, then you don't have to do anything else. Wrong. Because we'll go to the next question, okay, which will explain that in detail. You still have to prove yourself. You still have to, if you still have a bad temper, if you still do bad things, are immoral, etc., you still have to turn yourself around. That's not to sin. That means you are hitting the target. Get it? Okay. If you don't do, if you still continue yourself as before, murder, liar, whatever, adulterer, whatever, what good is receiving the 3 treasures? It doesn't help you because you're still accumulating all that bad karma, etc., right? Right? Okay. So that's why we have to. And what I mean by, let's use a very simple example. Okay, all of us, we all have 3 poisons, right? Nobody can claim that I have no 3 poisons. What are the 3 poisons, right? What?
Anger, greed.
Right. Greed, anger, and ignorance, right? None of us can claim that we have none of those 3. All of us have some temper, to some degree or another, to some degree, right? To some degree, right? Greed, to some degree. You can say greed derives from from our selfishness too, right? We're selfish, very narrow-minded, right? Okay, yeah, among others, okay. And also, we're ignorant. We can't claim that we know everything. We know, or we are enlightened beings, right? So we have to, even though we receive the 3 treasures, we still retain or have some of those three poisons, right? I mean, we have to acknowledge that, right? So we have to what we call cultivate. That means we have to, transform our bad thoughts or bad habits, into what? Good thoughts, good habits, etc. In other words, to try to get rid of those 3 poisons, right? Right? Because think about it. The only way that we can stay up there in Dharma Dhatu, we call Xian Tian, Li Tian, etc. Okay, Dharma Dhatu. Remember, what's Dharma Dhatu or Nirvana? You can say Nirvana means what? There's no duality. So what's greed, anger, ignorance? That's all dualistic. Get it? Or relativistic. You can say relativistic. So it cannot exist up there. Get it? So if we still have those traits, characteristics, we can't stay up there. We got to come down. And also, think about it. Greed, anger, and ignorance were all what? Derived, or you can say we gain it, or we got it, or we retained it in this relativistic, dualistic realm. Get it? All right? Or conditions, due to conditions in this relativistic realm. So that's how we have those traits. So we have to get rid of them in this realm. Get it? Now, some people say, "Oh, don't worry. You still have bad temper, bad habits, whatever. Don't worry, because when you go up there, we can cultivate up there." Well, I'll tell you this much. Yes, you can cultivate up there, but it's going to be very difficult because you don't have a physical form. So it's very difficult. You can, but it's going to take a long time, right? We hear Transmitter Lin talk about it. Says, they have to go to those, what they call the heavenly jail, or cave. Well, they say caves. Yeah, there are different caves. If we have different certain temperaments, we go to certain caves, and you have to eliminate it there before you can leave that cave, or something like that, right? Whatever. So it's gonna be very difficult. Okay. So the whole point is, we try to get rid of as much as we can down here. Get it? If we could do that, then it'll be much easier up there. And that you can stay up there longer. When I say longer, that means you can stay there forever if we don't, right? Because a Buddha has none of those traits. Get it? So that's why they can be up there forever. All right? So if we still retain those 3 poisons, among others, okay? I'm just using 3 poisons as a very basic example, okay? We cannot stay up there forever. Even though in this lifetime, yes, we have the 3 treasures, we can escape, yes, or dodge reincarnation in the next, maybe at least, maybe at most for the next 10,800 years. That's what some even holy teacher did mention that. But let's use that as an example. Maybe for a maximum of 10,800 years, we can escape reincarnation. But what about the next 10,800 years? God knows. Oh, we probably have to come down, reincarnate. And that's because of karma. Get it? And also the 3 poisons. We retain those traits. Okay? They don't belong up there. Because in Dharma Dhatu, in absolute heaven, we call it absolute heaven, there's no such thing as the 3 poisons. Make sense? It cannot exist. It's a contradiction. Right? So you have to come down and wipe it clean. Okay? So then that's why we have to come down. So that's why the key is we should do it as much as possible in this lifetime. Understand? Okay, so it's not that it's a sin per se. It just means that we do not do it well. We do not reach our goal. Maybe that's a better term. Or hit the mark. Okay, hit the mark. Okay? Or miss the mark. All right? Miss the mark. Okay? All right? You can say sin, like say murder. Yeah, of course. We can't murder after we receive the Tao, then that's contradiction, right? Right? We can't continue to murder, to lie, that's all, you can say ethical, moral, issues, okay? But it means we miss the mark, right? Right? We miss the whole meaning of why should we cultivate? Why are we receiving the blessing in the first place, right? The whole idea of receiving the blessing so that we don't have to reincarnate, right? Right? That's what the 3 treasures are for, right? Right? Or to go back to our true home, right? Eternal home, etc., right? Okay. So, Okay, let's go to the next question. Yeah, I'm trying to advance. Okay, now, yeah, why the heavenly Tao cannot be explained first, then be transmitted? Revealing the three treasures first, right? Right? We say, hey, you know what? I'll just give you the three treasures. then you don't have to. Yeah. Well, first that's called heavenly secret, so we cannot do that. All right. Okay. The second, another reason is that you have to be willing to believe, right? To believe the Tao, right? Believe that, there is, this thing called the Tao, there's God, etc., right? You have that. Because if you don't have that type of belief, even giving you the three treasures is useless. It's useless. Understand? Okay? So that's one of the three conditions that Buddha does not save, right? One of them is what? You have to have affinity, right? Second one is faith. Third one is vows. Okay? So faith is one of the three conditions of receiving the Tao. Okay? So you have to believe. You have to have a belief, right? So if you don't believe, if you're an atheist or whatever, you don't believe in Buddha, God, etc., giving you the three treasures is worthless. Okay? All right? Okay, so you have to have faith. So also, now, granted, we're in this white era, we're entering the period of the universal salvation of three souls. So that's why the Tao, you can say, is being spread, as much as possible. In the old days, during the red period and the green period, you can say receiving the three treasures is like 1 in a million. Okay, because the person wanting to receive the three treasures or seeking enlightenment has to become enlightened first. Then a Buddha or an enlightened master will then reveal the three treasures to them. You know that? Just like Buddha did. Buddha. He meditated under the Bodhi tree, right? And then he happened to see the falling star, right? Then he became enlightened. He understood. And then, only then, Dipankara, which is the Buddha before him, revealed himself and gave him the three treasures. Just like sixth patriarch, right? Working in the kitchen, right? He became enlightened, and then at the fifth patriarch's quarters, chambers, and then only then did the fifth patriarch gave him the three treasures. Okay, all that. So you have to prove yourself worthy. Today, because we are in that period of the universal salvation of the three realms, we are fortunate that we don't have to prove ourselves. We don't have to become enlightened first in order to receive the three treasures. We can receive the three treasures first, and then we can become enlightened later. Get it? Okay? All right? Or achieve enlightenment later, whatever, in our lifetime. There are different levels, but that's okay. That means, it just means that's why we have to cultivate after we receive the three treasures. So that's related to the first question, the earlier question right before, say, it's not a sin, but it's the whole goal, right? It's the whole purpose of receiving the three treasures, is that we have to cultivate, we have to get rid of our three poisons, etc., right? The five dull vices and the five king views, right? All that, right? All right? So that's why, and I'm giving a little history, right? The flower sermon, for example, right? Flower sermon, right? Flower sermon, anybody remember the flower sermon? Right? Mahakasyapa, right? Okay. All right? Okay, so that's why you have to prove yourself. Okay, back then. Now today, we still can't review it because you have to have faith, you have to have belief. You have to have belief. You have to have that affinity. We can't, how about this? Why don't we just go on the internet and just reveal the three treasures? Put it out there. Anybody, even aliens, as long as you have access to the internet, you can see, here are the three treasures. Why not? Right? Hey, hunky-dory. We're done. Everybody knows the three treasures. That doesn't work, right? Because, first of all, there are, evil people, or we can say bad people still, right? Who are either non-believers or who have very evil intentions, right? They know the three treasures now. or even evil spirits.
Can't open up.
Right. Open up. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's still useless because they don't have either faith, they don't have the affinity, right? And they don't make vows. When we say vows, means set goals, right? To want to cultivate, want to achieve enlightenment, right? Okay. So because now it seems that there's a big, how can I say, push by certain people, by a lot of elders who say, oh, we have to propagate the Tao, spread as far as possible, and get as many people to receive the three treasures as possible. We have to be careful because a lot of times, you cast your net very wide. That's true. But then be careful. A lot of the, fish or whatever that you bring in may not have the affinity, may not have the faith, may not have, understand? Okay? Or may not be worthy. You can say, okay? All right? To know the three treasures. All right, so that's doing a disservice. All right, okay. The whole goal, our grand predecessor always say, do hao ren. We have to propagate to worthy people. We say literal translation is good. It means worthy people. And what's the worthy people? Those three things, right? People affinity, people who have faith, and people who make vows. Okay, that's what he meant. That's what he meant. That's what Buddha meant. Okay, that's what Buddha could not save. I mean, everybody, even during his time. There was that story of the king who wanted to kill him or something. Cut off his arm or whatever. I forgot. Okay, doesn't matter. The lot. Even his cousin, Devadatta, tried to poison him. Right. The one who's now ended up in Avicii hell, right? Avicii underworld, right? Even he cannot save him, right? Because he didn't have vows, he didn't have faith. I mean, he has ambition, that's for sure, but that's wrong. Okay, so that's part of the three impossible things that Buddha cannot do, right? One of the impossible things, Buddha cannot save without conditions. Even Buddha. So if you think you can save people unconditionally, that means you're better than Buddha. That means you're more capable than Buddha. Okay, I mean, fine, okay. I mean, that's your claim. Yeah, all right, so we have to understand that, okay? So we have to, yes, spread the teaching to people with affinity, people with faith, and people who want to progress, i.e. make vows. Understand? So atheists, there's no need to talk to them, right? I mean, you can plant the seed, but that's it. We should not coerce those type of people, all right? So okay? So that's what it means, all right? So that's why, we cannot reveal it. We have to get people who are worthy, in other words, who are willing to, who have those affinity, etc., all right? Faith, okay? Willing to practice, okay? All right, okay. I think that's it. All right. So we
The three treasures is not just knowledge.
Right,
The second
right.
two are knowledge. I mean, we talk about the first treasure as a knowledge.
Yeah.
It's more than knowledge, right? So just like Buddha transmitting
the true Dharma.
true Dharma to Mahakasyapa, right? You received it from an enlightened master. That's why we need an enlightened master to transmit that, right? It's
Because they have the mandate,
it's
right?
not
They
through
have
his
the
knowledge,
right.
through any kind of knowledge.
Yeah,
or
not written in a
form.
book, right? Or
Nothing. So even though you might reveal, you're just revealing knowledge, which is useless.
right.
Knowledge won't, I mean, you can have it written
No,
in
no.
books, but people don't,
Yeah.
you can't transcend.
No,
reading
that's
books.
right. That's why you have to go through that
Yeah.
that ritual. You have to go through that ritual, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. That's it. Thank you very much. A lot of things that I probably didn't say satisfactorily. I ask for the Buddha's forgiveness. Thank you.